Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Trim. I'm John Skinner and today we are looking at a set of fully trimmed front seats for the Triumph TR5 and TR250 models. Bit of background on the seats. Generally the majority of the cars left with Vinyl Ambla. Some may have left with leather seats. Now when we say leather, I'm referring to leather faced, i.e. the bits that touch your body when you sit in them are leather, but the surrounds and the back pieces around here and this surrounds here and this back piece here would have been vinyl. We can offer that obviously, and we can also offer full leather, not to be confused with just leather in inverted commas, which is what we refer to as leather faced. Full leather will be everything in leather apart from the piping, which is always leather cloth where colours allow. Carrying on with the background of it, when they left with Vinyl Ambla originally, they would have had this embossed pattern on the pleats. A little diamond with indentation right in the middle of it. I'm making a blog post on our handbook area for details on that, but that was introduced on the TR5 and TR250 models and continued on into the TR6 realm of things. It's worth noting at this stage for the TR5 and TR250s, i.e. these seats here, the pattern did not go all the way down the pleated panel. It actually ended just at the bottom there, as you can see, and then just at the front here as well. So it's sort of where it started to curve up there, the pattern ended. Just to show you this, we have an original here. So you've got the pattern obviously, and you can see it ends there and it ends here. So we do them to the original spec with that design. So it's worth bearing that in mind. It's worth keeping in mind with these. My father has had a TR5 for all of my life. In fact, he had a few of them at one point. So I'm very well versed in these seats, especially sitting on them. So yeah, when they offered the leather or leather faced versions of the seats, the pleats would have been plain. So just bear that in mind. The majority of the cars would have left with white piping as per these. However, some of the TR250s, especially the ones shipped to America, seem to have left with the same colour piping as the main trim. So just bear that in mind. We can obviously offer that and a whole array of other colours as well. Just bear that in mind. Nice idiosyncrasy on these seats that we completely follow, but other suppliers do not, is this backrest horseshoe foam. We actually stitch in some foam into this horseshoe. Now they're a rather unique design, these seat frames on the backrest. If you imagine what you've got going down here is you've got the main framework support, which a piece of foam for the foam padding kit goes in, but then you have these wire arms that come out at the sides left and right, and they don't have any sort of seat padding foam as part of the seat foam kit as per the earlier and later cars, because they actually put this foam into the horseshoe of the seat. Now probably easiest to just see the video on the seat covers for that element of things, but just worth bearing in mind that we actually go through the trouble of sewing those foams into the horseshoe there to create the original look. And when I say trouble, it is trouble. They're an absolute pain to sew in those things, so just bear in mind we do it correctly in that regard, whereas quite a few of the other major suppliers completely omit putting the foam in there, making your life a lot harder when you come to trim the seats. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Now it's also worth bearing in mind, and you can clearly see it from these seats here, that the backrests are very much handed. As I'm looking at them here, the one here is the right hand seat as you're sat in the car, and this is the left hand seat. So if I stand behind them, it becomes a bit clearer. There we are. So we're facing forward in the car, right hand seat, left hand seat. And the reason for that, as you can see, is the horseshoe is narrower on the outside than it is on the inside, and that's to allow the hood frame to pass by. Now obviously for Surrey top cars that's not a problem, but it doesn't matter, they didn't bother changing the seats just for the Surrey tops. So that is a key factor on these seats. You can see it here, although these are a bit warped over the course of time, but you can definitely see that that distance there and that distance there are different. So that is a key factor on there. So just bear that in mind when you come to trim the seats, that the framework and the seat covers are handed. The seat foams are not, because of the unique design of the seat foam none of the element of the seat foam is actually handed, because it doesn't need to be, because they only cover the center elements there, whereas it's the actual cover itself which is the handed element there, so just bear that in mind. Unlike the earlier TR4As, and in fact some of the TR4s and then the later TR6s, the back panel on these seats is just material. So if we look at this original here, which I've taken some of the bits off, you can see there's no back panel there. It's literally straight onto the framework and the webbing, and these are the wing bits that I'm talking about here, to the side there. The earlier cars had trimmed hardboard panels which clipped onto the back, as did some of the later TR6s, but the TR5s did not. It was just a material one that tucks underneath there. I'll tip this one forward as it's obviously in better condition. You can obviously see the diaphragms and the foams on the bottom there. It's worth bearing in mind as well, since I have the original here, the piping on these seats was originally plastic, as you can see here. Now, we don't use plastic, just hollow core plastic for our piping. We use a leather cloth with a plastic core inside of it, because one, it's a much better material, and two, it keeps the shape of the seat a lot better, as you can see here. We do offer white plastic piping on the trim panels. We can also offer black plastic piping on the later TR6s. They're the two colours that we do offer in the original plastic piping, but we recommend people use leather cloth piping on their trim panels if they're getting seat from us as well, so that everything matches. We'll only use the plastic if they're not actually buying seats from us, if they want to keep the original look, but it's only white and black. But for seat covers, we only ever use the leather cloth with the plastic core inside of it. See our blog handbook post on pipings, and I do plan on doing some videos on pipings as well, because it's an area that we really go the extra mile in, so it's better in mind. But originally it was just this white basic plastic hollow core piping, but it's not what we recommend. So as with a lot of our things, when we make changes, we do it by design to improve the product. And a lot of people wouldn't even kind of notice these things, but we like to do things how they should be done, basically using slightly more modern techniques where available. Yeah, I think that's probably covered it. But yeah, so as with all of our seats, this should be your benchmark. This should be what you're looking to achieve, either yourself or your trimmer. If you can't, then get in touch with us. The seat covers will not need altering. We've seen some absolute horror stories over the years from trimmers who perhaps don't know quite what they're up to and assume that the manufacturer has made a mistake, when in fact it's an idiosyncrasy related to that seat. You know, we do these cars day in, day out, and have been for over 40 years. So there's not much we don't know about them. I'm never going to claim that I know everything about them. We're always every day's a school day attitude here. But yeah, this is the benchmark basically. So if you or your trimmer is struggling, get them to get in contact with us, send us some photos, and we can feed back on the best way of achieving these bits and bobs. It's all part of the service, so just bear that in mind. Yeah, and obviously we can offer just the seat covers, seat foams, seat webbings, seat diaphragms, and the seat covers. Or if you send us your frames, we can obviously trim them up and send them out to you as per this customer here. But yeah, I think that's probably covered it. Hopefully I haven't blabbered on too much there. I've just tried to cram in as much as I can remember on these seats. But yeah, as you can see, it turned out very nicely. As with all of our products, that's what we aim for. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to make any comments, like, subscribe, and share with other classic car enthusiasts. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.